Welcome back to 4 Geeks by Geeks, the place where geeks come to geek out. And this is the first session of a brand new campaign. We are so excited. Oh my god, I am overwhelmed. I am nervous. I am here for it. But I'm excited most of all because I get to do this new thing in a new role as your game master with some new people. So, if this is your first time, thank you for joining us. This is the very first episode of a brand new campaign, and we are playing Fate Core system. And I'll break down that a little bit and how it's different from D&D. But first, I want you guys to get to know some of our brand new faces and reestablish some of our existing faces. So please, let's say hello to one of our brand new faces. You might recognize her from a previous Geek Out sesh, or just somebody we talk about a lot because we love her. Hi, Britt.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit about
I'm
yourself and where you're from.
I'm Britt, and I'm from Let's Get Rollin', 1/6 of Let's Get Rollin', I guess. And we play super cool TTRPGs and D&D over on our channel, and yeah.
Awesome. And moving down the line.
Hey everybody, I'm Joshua Kahn. You might recognize me from Dairy Public Radio, bi-weekly Stephen King Book Club podcast. I'm super excited to be here and play this game with you. I'm a big tabletop role-playing game fan, and when you guys put out the casting call, I was just like, it's Kismet, let's do this. So I'm really excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you. Thank you for being here and putting up with our shit.
Absolutely.
Moving down the line.
Oh yeah, and I'm Austin. I'm Birdsuck on all of the social media platforms. I'm an artist, independent, but I also am working with Cantina 13. Mostly what we do is just make like homebrew content and like fun parodies and stuff. Just nerds talking to nerds, for nerds, with nerds, by geeks, for geeks, all that fun stuff. But yeah, no, that's pretty much about it for me. I've never played this game before, but I'm always a DM, so I just jumped at the opportunity to, have the other side of the table.
For nerds by geeks sounds like my mom trying to describe my channel. Thanks for being here, Austin. We've been a big fan. We had a Geek Out sesh with you. You designed that amazing community t-shirt. Go buy it in the merch store because Austin gets a cut. And
Thank you.
hi, Lucas. Welcome back.
Hi, I'm just gonna be dwarfed by our new amazing cast, so you guys won't notice when I'm gone for like 6 months at a time. It'll be okay.
And our ever-loving T.
I'm T. I'm here because of nepotism.
Yeah, but none of your titles matter here, okay?
Bullshit.
None of them. None of your titles matter.
I
here.
will burn this place to the ground.
You're no longer my dad.
You can't burn this place to the ground because
Got
I'm
a
burning
new
this
dad.
place to the ground.
You're not my dad. Sorry.
Got a new daddy.
Don't fill his ego.
Ayo.
Well,
Also, I really need you to put Prince up because that's a lot of empty space.
yo.
If you haven't clicked away yet, thank you.
There's still time.
You've got plenty of opportunity, and we will force you as much as we can. But we are playing a game called Fate Core. It's a Fate Core system. It's a different TTRPG. We just finished a City of Mist campaign, and before that we were playing a lot of D&D, but we wanted to highlight a lot of these great TTRPGs that maybe don't get a lot of the love, you don't recognize, or if you don't want to get into the rules-heavy D&D process, there's a lot of different options. So we wanted to start a brand new campaign with a brand new core system, and for those that aren't familiar with Fate Core, it's a rules light system where the most die you ever roll is 4, and you will always roll 4. And you might notice they look a little different. Instead of d20s, they have pluses, minuses, and blanks on them. An equal number of rolling each. Pluses mean a 1, minuses mean a -1, and blanks mean 0. So with some modifiers that come in your skills, you might roll a perception check, and based on what you get, either it's a positive shift or a negative shift. Shifts are the number of successes above the DC or below the DC. But the really cool thing about it is it's really rules light. It's it focuses on the narrative. So those who are looking for more of a role play kind of scenario like we were for this campaign, you might love Fate Core. So stick around, see if you like it. One of the really cool things are aspects that you will find that we're invoking quite often throughout the game. If you watched our City of Mist campaign, it's a little similar to power tags, where you might use those to kind of give your action a boost. But in Fate Core, aspects are more like personality bits that are true to your character that you might be able to invoke if it's justifiable in that moment, for either a +2 to your roll or the ability to re-roll your roll. And you could do so even after your first roll if you didn't like it. You could think, oh, you know what? I'm going to invoke that aspect. But me as the GM, I can also compel your aspect as a way of adding a fun complication to your story, or just to make the narrative a little more interesting based on your background. But to invoke your aspect or compel your aspect, you will find we're using fate points. Each of the players starts with 3 fate points in their disposal, and to invoke an aspect, they have to pay me a fate point. But when I compel an aspect, I get to pay you back a fate point. So there's a really cool fate point economy that, as long as we're all using it, it keeps the story interesting. I've got little jars here for each of the characters, so I can keep track of how many fate points you have. If you start, all the players, if you start or end the session with more than 3, then next session you'll begin with that number. But if you end with less than 3, then your refresh will take you back to 3 every time. Cool.
So use those fate points.
Use them, please use them. You will gain a lot more of the rules throughout the game. So please, if you have any questions about Fate Core, drop them in the comments below or in the chat here on Twitch. Oh, by the way, we're streaming on Twitch. Hi, welcome. Unless you're watching on YouTube or listening back on podcast. But you can always come hang out with us, the cast, in the chat while we air these on Thursday nights, Eastern Standard Time at 8 p.m. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm feeling a little chaotic because this is my first time as a GM, and I've got shit all around me that I'm like keeping track of things. My book, I made
Except above your right shoulder.
Say what?
Except above your right shoulder.
Yeah, I have nothing there. I need something there.
It's so
I'll send you
empty.
a poster of me.
Okay.
No, not just a poster. I want one of like the big head ones.
Yeah.
Oh,
Life
the
size.
caricatures?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you just need to get a technical difficulties poster.
That's also a great idea.
Just
Oh,
paint
nice.
the
Takes up
wall
the
like a
entire wall.
giant technical
Oh.
difficulties.
Or
Not
a
bad.
giant clock.
Hell yeah! First first derailment of the campaign.
And first of many. So you'll gain a lot of the rules as we go, and we will kind of be learning the rules a little bit because we've never actually played this as a group. Some of you, right, like Josh and Austin, have played this for a minute. Not Austin, just Josh.
Yeah, just me. Oh god.
I just read the rules more than the other 3 people.
Oh,
There's rules?
I asked him. I was like, "Hey, 20 minutes before we're supposed to play. Hey, is there like a book I can read through?"
nope, not anymore. So we'll be figuring this out. Bear with us if you are a big Fate Core fan. Go ahead and rules lawyer in the comments. I might ignore them anyway, but you're here for us and we're here for you. Guys, are you ready to jump into this brand new campaign?
Terrified.
Let's do it.
You're not more
No, I'm
terrified
okay.
than I am. All right, have a good night. It's fun. Thanks for hanging out. All right. As we begin this brand new campaign, it takes place in the Crown City of Aurora, high atop a tower above the entire planet, because 150 years ago, there was a cataclysmic event that forced humanity into the clouds. The goddess Octaris was trying to cleanse the planet of all the evil, and the chosen few were granted passage into the clouds by way of King William Dumas 150 years ago. And since then, humanity has not only been sustained, but been able to thrive, creating a brand new way of life on these towering cities. They dot the nation and the country, but the capital city of Aurora is where the current royalty and the current throne sits. You find yourselves having been born and raised in this environment where society is thriving. There is peace and humanity, but where there's peace and humanity, there's always discord and chaos. As much as the throne and the authorities that be try to quell it and keep things calm and well for the rest of the tenants. One of the greatest factors of humanity's survival is a little thing called Zodicium. Zodicium is a blessing given by the goddess Octaris that even though humanity was forced from the planet because this essence was terraforming the earth at a rapid rate and making it uninhabitable for the rest of civilization, above the clouds in the water vapor, that same essence could be distilled and used in a widely versatile way. So now humanity is not only using Zodicium, that commonly is known as X, to power entire cities and engines, but it's also got curative potential, and within some aspects of humanity, even grants supernatural abilities when used in the right way. When used in maybe its raw form or an incorrect way, it can be lethal and fatal. So there is a high regulation of X in Aurora and throughout the rest of the cities in the clouds, and the government tracks it quite well. You find yourselves on this day, on the 150th, the Sesquicentennial anniversary of the Great Refining, when humanity moved itself in the clouds, and Octaris, with her light and her love, blessed you with this gift of Zodicium. It is a massive citywide holiday. Nobody's at work. Everybody is celebrating. And the parade is going to begin in a short while. But let's find ourselves in a little garage in the... I've got my notes because I can't remember the things that I came up with. In the Prism Square, which is more of like the merchant district, there is a little auto shop, a mechanic shop, that's surrounded by high-rises, other taller buildings, but this one has been around almost since the Great Refining, passed down from generation to generation, and is cute little shop surrounded by taller places. So, Catherine, Kit, as you will, what are you doing? And describe your character a little bit for us.
So Catherine is a young adult, probably around 25-ish. She's got curly red hair and very starring blue eyes. Pretty much, I don't know. She's very like lanky and like trips over herself a lot and just, is just very unaware of,
Of herself.
I don't know. Of herself,
like
pretty
a puppy
much.
dog tripping over its ears and its big feet.
Yeah, she's pretty much just like gallivanting around. But she's probably got her head first into the front of a car or underneath a car, tinkering around with it, doing her work, because most days she's up and out of the house early trying to get work done. So I bet like if someone were to walk up, they'd see her head first into a car.
And in fact, somebody does walk up. Your little Nan, Carol, but you affectionately know her as Nan, who lives with you here in the shop with your apartment above. You might overhear her come in and trip over a wrench. Kit, darling. Are you still working on that thing?
Yeah, Nan. I got about 6 more to do before the end of the day. And this one's given me a lot of trouble. I'm not really sure how. I don't know. I'm not gonna bother you down with the. What do you need, Nan?
Now, you know what day it is. And you
Man.
promised you'd go to the parade with me.
I'm just gonna look at her watch. Give me 15 minutes.
All right, I'm going to make you a sandwich. In 15 minutes, that thing better be gobbled up and we're going to go.
Cut the crust off?
Don't I always? And she leans down as much as she can. Oh, and just like kisses your knee because your head's underneath the car.
How short is this woman?
So cute.
I imagine Nan in a blouse with a button, but the top couple are undone. She's cute, but seen some shit. Maybe wiry gray hair with it up in a bun. A couple strands framing her face.
Sounds pretty hot.
She's got big old glasses about this big.
Oh, of course.
My brain just thinks of the grandma in SpongeBob.
Description of that lady is the grandma from SpongeBob. She's completely round.
Yeah, she is a ball.
And she's not
the
even
fish old lady.
SpongeBob's grandmother.
The fish old lady, where she's like,
Oh my god. And she's got jean overalls.
I don't know why.
With a rag in the back pocket, not for herself, but always to wipe like your face or
God.
her son's
Got
face,
some schmutz.
your dad's face, or her late husband's face. Rest his soul.
Stop it.
So she just gives you a little kiss on the knee and says, "For light and love, it's Arcturus Day. It's the great refining."
Yep.
I'll be in the kitchen. And as she stands up, there's an envelope that kind of falls out of her back pocket and right by your foot, and she takes herself into the kitchen.
I probably don't notice it at first, but like when I shift my foot, I probably like brush it to the side and hear it like scrape across the pavement. So Kit takes off her goggles and wipes her hands and picks the envelope up. Does it say anything on the outside?
On the front, it says nothing, but on the back, it's sealed with a golden wax seal with a very elaborate flourishy G.
Don't open it. That's how you become the main character of the story.
Kit's unsure if she should open it. I think she's gonna wrestle with not being nosy because she's gotten in trouble for it one too many times by Nan, but also very curious because what is this? Like, what is she hiding it? Is it just something she was bringing to me? Is it? And I think her curiosity is going to get the best of her. She's going to try to open it without ruining the seal, but you know she's going to.
Okay, so you probably like grab a tool
Like
nearby.
like a little like something to try to unlatch the wax.
Go ahead and let's do our first roll of the campaign.
Okay.
No pressure.
You'll find those watching at home or listening at home, you'll find that some of these are reminiscent of roles that you might do in D&D, and some of them are specific to Fate. We have updated a few of the terminology that they give us in Fate to feel more like a D&D role, just to kind of take the divide between those who aren't familiar with Fate and D&D. So go ahead and roll. Let's do crafting. Because with your hands.
Okay.
Can't wait
That
to
makes
argue
sense.
these all the time.
4.
You rolled a 4. So with a 4, you deftly take an X-Acto blade, and because you're so good at your hands and you've been working with tools and cars and machines with your father and your paps for the entirety of your life, you crack it and you don't even leave a bit of the wax behind. If you wanted to, you could even, you could even heat it up a little bit and reseal it. So this flips open and there is a note inside.
Okay. I'm going to open it. First of all, I'm going to make sure my hands are very, very clean. So if I'm going to slip this back into, I never read it, I'm going to make sure my hands are very clean so I don't leave fingerprints everywhere. And then I'm going to, open it and read the first sentence. So, I could pretend I didn't read it if it's here's your results from your doctor's appointment. You know what I mean?
Sure. So you pull out this note.
Just the first word, answer. Oh, damn it.
Sorry about your test results. That's a terrible opening.
Who wrote this? Sorry, go on.
So you open it, and at the top, in kind of fancy handwriting, it says, Miss Carol Pfeiffer. And the rest of the note reads, we believe that your son, remind me of his name. Tobias, has absconded with something that belongs to us.
Oh.
We would like to speak with you. Meet an associate of ours at the Hammered Glass tonight at 7 p.m. Should you choose not to, consequences will play out as they will. And tucked inside the envelope, you also find a small little photograph of you, Kit, taken from afar. As you exited the shop one day and were crossing the street for traffic, and without your knowledge, this small photo was taken. At the bottom of the note reads, "The Gold Family."
I had an innate urge to murder all of them.
Ooh.
Jeez. So it looks like my Nan has not opened this letter at all. She hasn't read it yet, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to pretend. Well, I'm not going to give it to her. I'm going to if she comes looking for it, I'm going to play dumb. We're playing tourist here. Never saw it. And I'm going to, I guess, go meet them. Then why would I send my Nan? You saw her break like a twig.
She's so cute.
Her spongy properties would probably help with the blows.
SpongeBob
Sprinkle
is
strips
unbeatable.
absorb.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
'cause,
forgot we were in
she's just
SpongeBob. I just thought you called in a woman spongy.
Yeah, she's just spongy. She's a spongy lady, I guess. That's a description for sure.
Can we add that aspect to Carol?
That skin is looking awfully
Yes.
spongy, ma'am.
Yeah, Carol is
Ooh.
she now has an
Absorbent?
aspect of spongy. Feel free to invoke that as you will.
You're all welcome.
Jesus criminy.
So then, what do you do with the note?
I'm just gonna slip it, in my coat pocket inner coat pocket, So I'm not gonna. What happened to Nan isn't gonna happen to me. Like dip it in there, look at my watch, and I guess go like get washed up for this festival that my has to go to, appease her, per se, and then lock up the shop, and then head up the stairs to the apartment.
Perfect. And just as you head up the stairs, you hear her calling from the kitchen. Kitten, the sandwich is ready.
All right, Nan, I'll be in.
Did you say kitten? I love that. Oh my goodness.
Hey, if it's all right with you two, like I don't need to play. I'll just make commentary.
Watch Kit and her grandma, her Nan, just exist.
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine the camera pans away, away from the small shop and taller buildings surrounding it. And as you pan out, you see that this city of Aurora is a shining example of architecture and engineering. It's got smaller, cute little shops that you can see. It's got taller buildings. It's got a railway that circles around through the city. You see cars, but not in the same way that we might imagine cars. They kind of have a retro-futuristic aesthetic to them. And all of them have kind of an underglow of a glowing bluish purplish light. You see people all around. Some are smiling, some are having good days, some are having bad days. But as the camera pans up, you see this massive shining castle with towers and pillars within it, and all shining gold. And above here in the clouds, you see it just catches the bright sunlight, and it's glittering and beautiful and illustrious in every sense of the word. But we're not headed in that direction. We're headed to maybe the lower levels of the tower, away from the castle, where we might find a man named Sirkin Sirocco. So on this 150th anniversary of the Great Refining, where might we find Sirkin right now?
Sirkin, being somebody who has some association with authority around here, Sirkin carries himself in a way that shows he feels he is above the people he is around. So he is nose in the air, walking his way through these streets. And while there are different economic levels in these lower areas, no one is as impeccably dressed as Sirkin. He wears a clean red suit with a black shirt and a black tie, and he just always looks pristine when he's walking through. And he's making his way through, looking through all the booths that have been set up for the festival, and kind of keeping an eye on things and taking in if there's anything interesting. He likes to collect like rare books because he fancies himself as an educated man, so he's always looking for rare things. But he's also not above buying something that he feels he can use in his other line of work for not the purpose it was made for, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
He likes to create as he's shopping for trinkets and things like that. Mostly things that have sharp edges or sharp points.
Okay, and do you want to tell us your other line of work, or do you want to
Yes, Sirkin is a master interrogator. So he's an expert in torture. You want information from someone, he is the person that you call in, put him in the room with someone, and you get the information you wanted. Everybody wins.
All right, and so we find you in a bookshop.
Yeah.
All right.
Where I'm making my way through and for new I need a new anatomy book. Sirkin needs a new study of anatomy, working some fine-tuned areas.
Perfect. Okay, so uh, outside the bookshop, there's masses of people, far more than normal, because nobody's at work. Everybody's excited. The kids are out of school. Everyone's having a great time, and you exit the hustle and bustle into this quiet little bookshop in the Prism Square, the merchant district. And there's a little bell that goes off, cling, cling, as you enter. And you look up and you see this bespectacled man at the front desk, and he was reading a book, but he looks up and kind of looks over his glasses at you. Oh, come on in, come on in.
Slow day inside, it looks like.
Well, who would want to find themselves in a bookshop with all of the excitement outside?
People underestimate the joys you can find in the pages of a book. Am I right?
Oh, a fanatic himself. Oh, is there something specific you were looking for?
As a matter of fact, I've become fascinated recently with the human brain. I'm not sure if you know this, but there are no pain receptors in the brain. And so I feel like something doesn't sit well with me there. I'd just like to find some more information.
Right. And
So he does not break eye contact with this old man, just stares deeply into his eyes.
God.
just takes his glasses off and he like tucks them in his collar. You want to go down that aisle. There's the nonfiction, the scientific section. I believe you might find something there. We're not a library, of course. We don't have everything, but in my travels between the cities, I pick up what I can, and you might find what you're looking for.
A pleasure. Mm-hmm. And he turns and he heads down that section.
I can like hear the strings, like just like.
I also will mention that Sirkin does not have a specific eye color. His eyes actually have that oil slick shimmer about them which is a side effect of some chemicals he's put in his eyes in the past.
Interesting.
So he's also he loves to hold hard eye contact, but it is probably very uncomfortable for the other person.
I felt that at a deep level. So then you head down the aisle, and would you go ahead and roll me a perception check?
Absolutely. All right, fair, so I have a +2. 2 blanks, a plus and a minus, so 2.
All right. Well, with ease, you travel down these stacks of books. You pass a cart with some of them yet to be put away, but that's going to be saved for a later day. And you come across these massive wooden shelves. Well, not massive because the ceilings aren't that high. But you find a little label that says scientific on it, and scientific and medicine. And as you're running your fingers across the books, you find one that is labeled the anatomy of the brain.
Perfect. Neurology, neuroscience.
Sirkin takes that off, and as he's holding it, he also just looks for whatever, based on appearance alone, it looks like the oldest or most sophisticated looking book, and he also grabs that and buys that with. Does not even look at what it is.
Okay.
It's part of his aesthetic.
Yeah. So you just grab one.
Encyclopedia of cute ponies, but it's just
it could be. For all,
just says
for all
lobotomy on the side.
It just looks
just takes
like the binding looks like, first edition. Like maybe it's something that looks old world, and like, they don't make books old world style anymore.
Sure.
So, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
you
so
find some with a little bit of filigree, golden filigree on the binding, with the little straps. Even one leather strap that goes right in the middle.
There we go. Yeah.
So
He
yeah,
scoops that up and he puts that over the anatomy book, the neurology book.
Nice. And so then you take that back to the front desk?
Take it back up to the desk, and he sets it down.
Did you find what you're looking for?
Everything and more.
Well, and he picks up the beautiful book. Like, oh. And he kind of flips it aside and sees the mind one there. I'm like, oh, okay. And studies the really nice one. Like, I forgot I had this. This was quite the find. There's a story here.
Do tell.
As he's like, do you want to know?
His face shows no interest in the story and holds until it's uncomfortable. Go on.
Well, in my younger years, I took a sky ship to the other side of the country and visited one of the cities there. Beautiful city. I'm told that it's near the sea. Of course, you can't see past the Cloudscape anymore, but I found this hidden away. It wasn't in a bookshop. It was more in a what would you call it now? Bows are making shit up on the spot. It was tucked away in a bit of a cafe, and it was just lying on a table, unaware of anything else. And I was eating, and I let it sit there for a while because, of course, somebody's going to come back for it. But I sat there for a number of hours, in fact, and nobody did. So, of course, I scooped it up and didn't pay a penny for it. But this title inside, and he opens up the front, because not even a title on the front, but inside, in handwritten, it's not print. This entire book is written by hand, and it's a thick book. And it's just labeled My Journeys.
Interesting.
And it doesn't have an author, it doesn't say the name. But as he flips through the pages, you can just see pages and pages and pages of somebody's story.
All right. Circan, again, a little too long of a silent pause after he finishes telling the story with no reaction.
Mm-hmm.
How much?
Well, for both of them, it'll be 10 credits.
Okay. Takes out, his wallet and slides the 10 credits. And as the shopkeeper reaches down to grab the money, Circan puts his hand on top of his hand. And
I hate this character so much.
kind of grabs him, is holding his fingers, which are holding the note, and he says, "Do you feel any guilt for making a profit from the theft from someone else? It's all right if you do. Be honest. I'll know."
He titters a little bit. I suppose I never thought about it. I've had the book for so long.
Understandable. But do you feel some guilt? Circan snaps his finger. Snaps the shopkeeper's pointer finger. Grabs the books and says, "Your guilt is cleansed."
He
And
breaks
walks
his
from the
finger?
store. Yeah, he snaps his finger.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm like, what do you roll for that? But it's an old man's tiny pinky. It
He is. He
It's
is
a
an old man.
twig.
and he's just lost for words. He
Actually,
not
you know
know.
what, Bozer? I'll do you a favor.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend a fate point in this very opening to use in my torturer's tools, and assume that my gloves have like pieces of metal in them to make my grip a little stronger. And so it's like, you know how you snap a pencil between your fingers? It's that. He's holding the guy's hand and he just slips his fingers around, pushes down and snaps the finger.
When we edit this, just quick little trigger warning should just run across the screen right quick.
I mean,
And
technically
now,
speaking,
and
you
now
can...
he is forgiven. He no longer needs to feel guilt over stealing and making money from it. Everyone's even.
Now that we have a notable character, I need both a shopkeeper name and I need a bookstore name, please and thank you. Because there's no shot this doesn't come back at some point.
He never asked his name, and the shop is called Stacks.
Hell yeah.
With an X.
Hell yeah. 3 X's.
Hold on, I gotta write that down.
My journey is a
It's actually
smut.
like, that's a smut store. That's a scientific section.
That's why he was confused when you asked him about a book about brains.
I was this close to making this really cute, amazing book porn, but I was like, no, let's use it for something.
Oh god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Bookstore.
You open up the leather-bound book and it just says hentai.
No. It's a leather-bound book
But the
called
cover is a
Lusty
hen with a
Argonian.
tie.
Yeah, just a hen with a tie.
I've been asked about boobs before, but never brains.
So as you exit the shop, this old man that had no idea this is how his day was going to go is just in shock. He doesn't know to even call out for the light guard or to cry out. He's just kind of wrestling with his own guilt that maybe he should feel, but now he shouldn't feel because you cleansed it. He is lost and also terrified.
As Sirkin, the bell rings as he opens the door to exit. He gives one last turn back and he says, "Have a great refining," and then closes it behind him as he leaves.
Oh,
As such a soft dom that Sirkin is, I guess it's not soft dom, it's hard dom. No aftercare for this guy? You're not even gonna
Not even a lick
splint
of
it up for him?
aftercare.
Not,
You're just gonna break his finger and be like, I'm done with you.
I've
done my business.
You know who has 9 more fingers to fix his own finger? This guy.
A few
My
seconds,
hands are full with 2 books.
2 whole books.
You just gotta
I
yank
only
hard
broke
enough and
one.
pull over. It's not a big deal.
To be fair, you know what? I should have just dislocated it. That's on me. That's on Sirkin for
That's on
being
me.
overzealous. I should have
He
just
got excited.
dislocated it. He could have just
Sirkin got
popped
excited.
it back in.
Hindsight's 2020,
Yeah,
you know?
You know what?
Yeah, because
Sometimes Sirkin doesn't think before he acts. I know it's a surprise.
A few seconds after you exit the store, you hear a of a lock and a little sign being flipped to closed for the day. And then if you turn and look, you just see like a terrified pair of eyes as a shade is drawn quickly.
No one should work on the Great Refining Day.
You never will again.
Anybody else picture this shopkeeper as like a gnome?
Oh, nice.
He's on the shorter side for sure.
I also think of
Just a small old man.
Yeah.
It's just an elderly, wizened old man.
And as we pan away from Sirkin, now just brooding energy surrounded by children and laughter and families crossing his path, we find ourselves in a
Rips
different
one of them as they run by.
a different part of the city on the Sesquicentennial, to a man named Wayland Tier. Wayland, where do we find you? And describe your character for us.
So, Wayland is like in his late middle age kind of thing, like probably like getting close to 50. He is a veteran mercenary. But in the guild that he was in, or gang, depending on the rest of the society would call it, he was betrayed, and he, by most of the people that would have known him, he would be probably assumed dead. But the only thing that they really did take was his right hand. So Wayland, his kind of goal right now is to train and recover. Like it's been enough time now that like his wounds has healed and stuff like that. But just like, you know, fighting, combat training and stuff, just like in an abandoned building or something like that, and just like punching furniture with his hook hand. He's got a grappling hook for a hand.
You know, as one does.
As one does in the, you know, steampunk post future that we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
And he has like a regular like prosthetic as well, but when he's doing the fights, he's got the hook hand. So I would reckon that I'd be like in some like dusty warehouse, abandoned warehouse somewhere like in like more of the outskirts of the city.
Sure.
Just like punching stuff and stealing myself to go out and be around people for the first time in probably like a full year.
Wow. Okay. So you're in a warehouse near what they would call the docks, as if there was a lake or an ocean, except instead of those things, it's in clouds. In all of the clouds now, as you look out on the edge of the city, you just see a sea of clouds, but they have kind of a purplish tinge to them. It's not these white fluffy clouds that we might see today. They all have this kind of purplish hue. And on some nights, you could even look out and see almost a storm erupting, and you see these darkish hues kind of come out and light flashing. But above the clouds here, there are rarely, if ever, any storms. And so you'd be more in the Iron Corners, the industrial district. And it's close to the stratus turbines that are at the base of the city, at the tower, that draw in the clouds and refine the zodicium that is found in the water vapor there, that's then distilled and processed and pumped throughout the city for power and for fuel and for all manner of things based on its versatility. And so you're in what was once used for storage for an industry, but it's passed hands, and since then it's been for sale, and no one's ever bought it up. So it's yours, and there's windows, tall, kind of warehouse windows that some are broken. The light is shining through, and it's creating the dust as there's this bag that you've hung, and it's catching the sunbeam, and every pummel, it just lets off this plume of dust. And you're so alone.
Yeah. The warehouse, keeps the rain off my back. And just gives me a place where I can like kind of channel my thoughts and focus. I got a lot of emotions and feelings, these people looked up to me. I wanted to support them, and I guess like this sense of betrayal has gotten me almost to the point of I don't know, it's like a disappointed father figure or something. Like I got to teach these kids a lesson, so just like I've got a lot to mull over, and I've been spending my time like desperately trying to know that I'm making the right move, and like would it be better if I was just dead or whatever. So I'm kind of just like going through those thoughts, like psyching myself up to, you know, put on like some like soft like kind of disguise, like a subtle disguise, and you know, venture in and talk out loud to another person for the first time in a while. So I'm kind of just like in a weird way for like a grown man, you know, who's like grizzled from combat, to like have to like re-enter society a little bit.
Sure.
You know.
And as you're pummeling this punching bag, you see the face of who was once your brother, essentially, Kith Damon. He was the leader of your guild, the Surgid's Reach, and you trusted him, and he trusted you, and you were his right-hand man. And you are envisioning the training that you put the younger ones through, and how you kind of pummeled each other, and you remember the hits you took and the hits you gave, and one particular knocked him on his ass, but he looks up with pride in his eyes, and as you reach out your right hand that you once had and pull him back up, and he just gives you a hug. And as you continue to punch, you then see the face of his son, who took over the guild in his death, Uriah. And Uriah's kind of got a little smugness about him, and you remember that leading this guild wasn't what Uriah wanted, but then he saw opportunity, and you remember the moment that you realize that Uriah threw you under the bus to save his own ass, when Surgid's reach reached a little bit too far into someone else's territory, that ended with you losing your hand and now being an exile from society. Go ahead and roll fight for me, just because I want to see how bad you beat this punching bag.
Really embarrassing if I messed up. I got a +4.
Nice. With a +4 fight?
Positive, negative. So I got a +6.
So as you're remembering that moment of the look in Uriah's eyes when people came for you, knowing that you had nothing to do with this, knowing that you were pushing him away from this to bring the discipline back to the guild that was spiraling out of control, that look in his eyes of not even an apology of, yeah, I did that. You, with your hook hand, just punch right through this bag, ripping it, and whatever's in punching bags comes out.
Yeah, followed by like just like probably like a primal scream that like echoes through the empty warehouse.
Exactly. You see like a bird through the broken glass, just a flock of them flitter away. All right. So now we know, don't fuck with Wayland.
I love what's ever inside a punching bag.
Does anybody know what's inside a punching bag?
Sand?
Is it
Beans.
sand?
I think it's
Beans,
sand.
Is it?
sand.
It's like my sister trying to entice me to see
Shit.
what was inside my Stretch Armstrong.
Turns out we don't know what's inside a punching bag. I was so sure it was sand.
Hey, can you spell Uriah for me?
Uriah. Uriah
Ooh.
Damon.
That's exactly how I thought it was spelled.
Nice. And as the birds flutter away from this abandoned warehouse on the edge of the city, the camera swoops around this massive circle of a city and draws itself wherever we find T. Theodore.
That's me.
What would Theodore Maxwell be doing? And describe your character for us.
So Theo is a very he appears to be a very pompous individual. But that's because he is a political fixer. So he spends a lot of his time dealing with the rich aristocrats and kind of helping with their problems and whatnot. But more often than not, he also enjoys kind of helping the little guy. He's really not a big fan of, in a sense, getting caught in bigwig politics, and likes to go out of his way to make sure those individuals are still taken care of in this society where the hierarchy and riches tend to get away with a lot more than others. And Theo's not a big fan of that and takes great pleasure in knocking people down a peg to make sure they recognize where they actually are in the hierarchy.
All right. And where would Theo be at this moment?
At this moment, if we are still prepping for the parade, I think Theo would be meeting with the individual that is the problem of the current case he is kind of taken on for himself. Theo was contacted by one of the arch luminaries that was currently being blackmailed to try to get their position taken from them. Theo, having a direct relationship with the said individual, made it a little more enticing for him to go make a in-person conversation as compared to usually sending off his associates to kind of help with one of those problems. So I think Theo would be getting ready to have that interaction with the individual.
Okay, and are you meeting him at his office or yours?
100% dropping in on his office entirely unannounced.
All right, so you've made your way to the Prism District, or the Prism Square, where this parade is about to take place, and there's people all over. And to your right, as you're walking by, you can see them setting up a podium, and there's a big red ribbon across this brand new building that has just completed, and they're going to use the Sesquicentennial celebration to cut the ribbon on this new institute that is actually within the grasp of the individual that you are going to meet. And as you're heading towards his office, you actually see him standing near there talking to a few of the aides and people getting things set. And you see, as you mentioned, Arch Luminary of Intelligence, Errol Faust. Because you would know that in the city of Aurora, there are 5 arch luminaries that are kind of heads of the main industries of the city. Him being the one of research and intelligence and all things that might study Zodicium and X and taking it forward. And he's very excited. You see him with a big grin on his face. Some children, a mother actually points him out, and a little girl runs up, and he turns with an excited grin. You see this kind of exuberant man with 2 coiffed of hair. It's kind of sandy, but it's very styled. You can tell he spends quite a number of minutes in the morning on it. And he's got a very sharp suit with a collar that kind of wraps around. And he bends down, and the parents behind this little girl are excited that they came this close to an arch luminary. And as he's talking with the girl, he glances up and he sees you in the background standing, and you can see without losing the smile, the eyes show, oh shit, not here. No, not here. And then he dismisses the girl, and she runs off, and they're excitedly talking about how they got to meet Errol Faust. And he looks at one of the aides and kind of dismisses them and kind of glances your way and shifts his eyes towards a couple buildings away. There's a little space between the buildings, an alley. And he tells the aide, I'm just going for a coffee. I'll be right back, all right? Don't you start without me, all right? It's a big day, big day. And he walks
You
towards...
sure you don't want to do this here in front of your staff?
Oh, Theo, walk with me, would you?
Walk? Why not? This is such a lovely space. Why don't we sit here and enjoy the moment before it just gets overcrowded and filled?
Theo, this is why I pay you. Understand? Walk with me.
You pay me to get jobs done. You don't control me.
And he's not stopping. He's walking.
Theo's gonna kind of like turn and look at the aides and smile at them daftly as he follows behind.
And as he's like glancing around, and as long as he feels like nobody's really watching, he kind of just dips into an alley. And here in the Prism District, the alleys themselves are pretty clean. It's not like the Iron Corners where they don't look at things like this. Everything is nice, and it's like Disneyland. Everything's clean, and there might even be a dumpster, but it's got a little bit of rust, but no trash juice, which no one likes trash juice.
Trash juice.
And
I don't like that.
as he turns the corner, he grabs for a carton of something and pulls out a rolled bit and lights it. I thought we were going to do this at your office. Why are we talking here?
I find it just so much more fun here. And for being the arch luminary of intelligence, you really need to work on your poker face.
Listen, I thought you had it handled. I thought our conversations were done.
You see, you thought. But in my line of work, I tend to uncover things that usually just pisses me off, because if you're upfront with me, I will likely go out of my way to assist you. But when I have to dig and find things that you're keeping from me to manipulate the narrative, not a fan of that one.
I gave you all the information that I felt was needed. I had an individual who had, as you know, some images of me in a precarious situation, and you were dealing with it. Who doesn't have a little skeletons in their closet, huh?
And Theo is gonna pull a manila envelope out of his like double-breasted jacket, and as he opens it up and slides out some of the photos, a few skeletons. That's what you're calling this.
And some of the photos.
And he starts panning through some of the photos. I didn't know that was. Where do you do Pilates? Because you're doing something right.
And he like puts those down. Even in alley, he's looking over his shoulder. Put those away. Why would you bring those? Those were to be destroyed.
Correct. And these are the physical copies. But you see, what I've discovered with you pompous assholes, you don't seem to learn. Ever. And I don't trust you for a lick. And I know the moment I turn my back, you're gonna try something. And this is my reminder that here are the physicals. And as long as you don't cross me, as long as you don't test me, and remember that when I call you and I need something, you don't say a fucking word, these won't see the light of day. Your problem is solved. But we have now established a bond that may be called upon in the future.
I am a man of my word to those who have my back.
Theo's going to slap it on his chest. You have a busy day ahead of you. I'll make sure not to get too caught up in your cameras, because that jacket, that's a little last season. Whoever's doing fashion, you really should. I'll make sure to stay to the side during the inauguration, so I don't want to pull too much attention from you. And Theo's going to rebutton his jacket, kind of take the cigarette and kind of throw it away. make sure you get a mint before you start meeting everybody. And he's gonna walk back inside.
And Errol,
That's not cool.
so badass. Errol is just like left standing that in the alley, perplexed that anybody would speak to him this way. He is the arch luminary of Aurora, the crown city of the Cloud Cities, and he just got roasted.
Theo's gonna stop and grab one of the aides. He's gonna need some new jacket, retouch up his makeup, and for the love of God, get him a mint. And he's gonna wink at Errol before walking off scene.
And he just, I like this jacket. And he's gonna put on his face and walk back out, and from a distance, oh hi, oh no, you stop, and walk back towards the ribbon. Okay, and so we pan out, and as we pan out, you see crowds gathering, and there's kind of a huge section of street that's cut off, and nobody's walking on it, so the crowds are kind of being displaced. The sides make them even more packed as we are growing closer and closer to the beginning of the parade. That's going right by the Institute of Progress, the Faust Gold Institute of Progress, in fact. And we're going to find ourselves meeting our last player of the session. Where do we find Alsvid at this time? Alsvid? How do you say this name?
It's Alsvid.
Alsvid.
Alsvid Batten. Thanks to some friends of mine, I'm just keeping an eye on things at this, trying to prepare, look around where this parade's gonna be, and I wouldn't say I'm casing the place, but I'm just keeping an eye on the people, crowd watching, walking through the streets that I know the parade's gonna be on.
Okay, and describe what Alsvid looks like.
It looks like a pretty common man. I just have some nice casual pants on. I got a nice, not too fitted shirt and a little jacket on. I have some longish hair, like a scruffy face going on right now. But he's just trying to blend in with society.
So you're just milling about within the crowds.
Just taking notice of certain people, where people are standing around, maybe where some security is. Taking note of the path.
All right, and as you're milling about, you kind of glance over, and off to the side where there's kind of an opening area, you see one of the light guard, which, as you would know, is kind of the authority figure, the police, if you will, of the city, and they are the royal upholders of the law from the king himself, and they go on down of hierarchy. But you can tell this is more of a beat cop, if you will. The light guard have different things representing different positions within the guard, but this one you can tell is your everyday Joe Schmo, because he's lacking the patches, he's lacking a jacket. They kind of all have a lightish grayish armor, kind of a helmet. It's, even though today feels modern society, the light guard are kind of a harken back to maybe where we came from, the older day and age of protectors. And they've got kind of this curved helmet that kind of ends in a small point. It comes down to the brow and circles the face a bit. And on the hip, you see a firearm that you would know is usually full of the rubber bullets that are kind of laced with a little bit of X, that when you get shot, kind of stun you biologically, like hit your neurosystem immediately and kind of freeze up. So you know running from them doesn't do you a lot of good. And then on the other hip you see it essentially a nightstick, but fancier for close combat. And this guy's you see the light guard pull out the nightstick or the baton, and he's looking at a man that's kind of up against the wall. And you just feel like a threatening presence coming from this light guard. And from your point of view, this man hasn't done really anything wrong as far as you know.
Wow, so he's the guard looks a little like jumpy, or is he?
The
quick
guard
to
feels
assume?
like he's in control of the situation. He's inching closer and closer, and from this distance, you can't really tell what he's saying.
Can I? I'm just gonna try and get a little closer so I can listen in to this conversation and see if
Sure.
intervening might be in my future.
Go ahead and roll me a perception check, just seeing if from that distance whether you can tell what's being said.
Let's see. And so that's a net 1 for a +3 since I have a fair on that.
Very nice. So even above the hustle and bustle of the crowd, and you hear laughter and people buzzing about the parade and how big it's going to be this year. This has got to be the biggest one. But you get close enough that you hear the light guard getting closer to this man, and this man he's in a light jacket. He's got kind of a receding hairline. Very forgettable person. And this guy said, "Listen, you stepped on my boot. These are brand new. Now, are you going to apologize, or is this going to get ugly?" And the man said,
Is this guy?
I didn't know. It's busy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's not an apology. Wipe it off.
I'm gonna try. Oh yeah, this is gonna be. I'm already causing trouble. All right. I'm gonna walk by really quick and just kind of shoulder check this guard and then try to disappear into this crowd.
Okay. All right.
Hell yeah.
What would you? Okay. Go ahead and roll me a stealth check.
Okay. Let's see. Stealth.
Yeah.
I'm good at these. So that's a +3 and 8. Ooh. And that is another only a net 1, so that's a +4.
Nice. Okay, so as he's about to like literally press this guy against the wall with his baton, he gets a good healthy to the shoulder, and as he whips around, he turns and he just sees a bunch of people milling about and walking, and everyone's moving fast paced like it. What the?
Run, old man.
And he just calls, "Who did that?" And some families just like nervously turn, and a mother ushers her kid, walk a little faster. And as he turns back towards the man, that man dipped. He went right under the arm and just took off. Fuck. He looks down his boot and pulls it up, and he wipes it off himself and, with his thumb, and really tries to get the scuff off. He's like, "God, they're brand new." And you disappear.
bad
into
for
the
this guy.
crowds.
Yes, successfully averted some good major
The only time
fight
I've ever
there.
seen Lucas actually stealth a situation.
Hey,
Should have broken his finger.
yeah, I should have just stunned him with his own baton and then created a whole scene.
So you now are all, am I correct in assuming you've all joined the gathering here in the downtown of the Prism Square? Yeah. Yeah, let's take 5. Good job, everybody.
run
I'm
away.
loving this.
Just run away.
Nope. This has been super fun, y'all.
Hey guys, Bozer here. If you were looking for a good place to take a break in today's episode, you just found one. Feel free to hit that pause button, and we'll be here waiting for you to come back for part 2 of today's episode. We'll be waiting as long as it takes. Now, back to Cloudscape. So, we've now met our wonderful characters that I'm so excited about, and we find them all kind of in their own places, lined in the main street of the Prism District, right across from this shining new building, just glass windows all the way up. It's maybe like 10 stories high. It's kind of ends in an asymmetrical slant, so it almost has a prism kind of feel to it, with if it was on its side, not so much symmetrical. You see in the distance Errol Faust, the arch luminary of intelligence, and depending on your relationship with him, you might have different feelings about him. Some of you might be excited that you're this close to an arch luminary. As
I do need to clarify, Theo 100% lied to him. He is not going to stay offside. He's going to be in every photo that he is in.
Got it. Love it.
You son of a bitch, that's amazing.
You're all bitches except Kid.
Yet.
No, you Lucas, you're a good guy. Or
I stuck up for the little guy.
Al's a good guy. Yeah. I love that your picture looks like Liam's Hemsworth. That's just who I'm picturing now.
Yep. It's a cross. Little cross.
And you see him waving at people, and a couple people next to him, you see a well-dressed man in a sharp black suit with small, thin glasses, just not quite sharing in all of the excitement. Everyone's excited, and he's just standing there, Theo, just to be a problem. But then down the street, you hear this like thundering of drums. Just boom, 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 boom. And you can almost feel it. And you hear a cheer way down the street, so you know the parade is on its way. And as it draws closer, you just see like confetti being thrown and streamers being shot out from these different floats. And these floats that were made by... One was made by the school, the... can't remember the name. The Hamlin Academy. And you would know that Hamlin was the previous king to the current king, Praxis, his father. This Hamlin Academy where all students go from the kindergarten entry all the way through a university level. It's this whole campus on this part of the Cloud City. So different grades have made different floats, and you see, like, you can tell the little ones made this one of a beautiful woman with kind of praying and her head bowed, and you would know that it was her best representation of Octaris. It was made with different pieces of paper, and some of them don't quite match, and some are kind of falling apart. But the kids are so proud, and they're throwing streamers and laughing, and as that passes, you see the Light Guard are marching in kind of sentry order. You can see at the front of it is the commander, and you can tell he's the commander because he's not only got the armor of the beat cop that you saw earlier, but he's lacking the helmet, and he's got kind of this well-fitting jacket, and pants rather than the armored pants, though you know underneath him he would have some sort of kind of protectant. And he's marching with almost ease. He's not marching in league with the rest as they are kind of sticking to a beat, but he's just walking, greeting people with a kind eye, but always wary, looking. And so they're marching, and behind them you see one of their Light Guard vehicles that it looks like basically an armored car that's got that same kind of silvery whitish sheen to it. And you see all these great floats, and there's a marching band, but at the very end of the parade you see the pinnacle, which is this testament of where we've come from and where we are now. it's pluming out this purplish smoke to almost represent clouds and the gift of the blessing of Octaris. And you see the high priest of the Octarian temple sitting on a throne with this kind of beautiful winged statue figure behind him. And you would know that that's also representation of Octaris. And he's sitting there greeting people. She rather. And just almost like Princess Diana waving. And people are giving out tidings and, of course, invitations to attend the next meeting at the Octarian Temple, which meets once a month because it's within the royal area and the seat of the Shining Sun where the castle is. So once a month they allow the masses to come and pray there. Otherwise, worship is more of an individual basis. Some people just would meet in homes or on their own. But you just hear everyone chanting, "For light and love, for light and love, for light and love." And some of you are just really getting caught up in it. Kit, as you're standing there next to Nan, she is joining in and with great claps, she's, "For light and love, for light." And you even see her kind of wipe a tear from her eye because she's so deeply emotionally tied to this day and this goddess, which you would know she never misses a prayer every day. For light and love, she's always saying it. How are you feeling?
Kit's zoned out. She's thinking about what's going to happen later. Like, she was about to just participate in the day just for Nan's sake because, it is a big special day for her. But for Kit, it's just about, doing what her grandma wants. It's never been a thing for her. Ever since her dad left, her grandpa died, she's not into anything anymore. There's no joy. There's no, holidays don't bring joy anymore. They bring dread. So, Kit's probably going to be staring just into space out of it, probably hands in her pockets, just thinking about what's going to happen later in the day. And just, ignoring basically the chaos that's going on there.
And as your hands are in your pockets, you feel a soft hand kind of grab your wrist and pull it out, and Nan just clasps your hand and gives it a smooch and looks up through her big, thick glasses. "Thank you for being here for me. I love you."
I love you too, Nan, and I'm gonna take my hand on my other pocket and, continue to hold her hand, but with both hands and pat her hand and squeeze it, I guess. Just, lovingly, and then just kind of going through her head is just what could happen to her later. Is she gonna leave Nan by herself? Just all the things that could happen. What would happen to Nan? If she wasn't bringing in money, if she wasn't doing this, all the consequences for her going tonight. But she knows that if she were to talk about it to Nan, Nan would protest and she'd be the one to go, or, she'd try to come up with a solution. And she doesn't want to put that burden on Nan, as it is her favorite day of the year. And, I think she's just going to dwell on how much she loves Nan. And just the rough year they've had.
And she's just
Theo will personally kill anybody that harms Nan or looks at her negatively.
Protect her at all costs.
It's on sight. I don't care.
Yeah, I will part the sea and render the heavens for Nan.
Waylon, as you are entering this crowd, you've been isolated for so long. And as you come close, there's people all around you. You can feel the joy for light and love. You look to your left and you see a little old lady with thick glasses next to a taller, slender girl with fiery red hair. And she just, at least the elder woman, looks like she's so into it. What are you feeling?
I think it's like a mixed emotion. Like there's definitely there's a guilt for like feeling joy, you know? Like Wayland isn't necessarily like a religious person per se, but like just like seeing joy be all around, you know, there's an osmosis to it, right? And like that feeling is like kind of getting stirred up inside where it's like like breathing easier and feeling lighter, but like having guilt for that at the same time because there is a mission and a focus that needs to be like attended to. But like I definitely think that like Wayland will like catch a moment every once in a while where like almost a smile will peek out or something like that. Or it's like, you know what I mean? Like joy is desperately trying to like cloy its
Yeah.
way into the heart.
Wow, I need that on like a card. But that guilt almost gives off almost as if he was attracted to it, like a shark is to blood. This dark, oil-slicked-eyed individual steps up in your vicinity. Sirkin, what are you doing in the masses of this parade?
I am standing facing the parade, but I am looking through my brain book.
Oh, okay. You just
So it's that arrogance of I'm here, but I'm nonplussed. I'll look up when something amuses me.
I'm not impressed with 150 years.
But he's also forward enough that people will see him there doing that.
Frick.
This pompous asshole.
He wants to be a big deal. He really does.
Al, as you've kind of blended into the crowd, you turn your head and you see a man reading a book in the masses of the parade. What are you doing during all this?
Oh. Well, unfortunately, I'm hunting right now. Let's try to snag some stuff from some people who are too preoccupied with.
Oh, a pickpocket.
Okay.
And the rogue of our group, everybody.
There it is.
The forever rogue.
All
right. Do you try to steal something?
Yes. I don't know if I'd necessarily go for him, but I'd be looking for like a wealthier individual. So if he was perceived as a wealthy individual, then maybe I would be going for him. But
I'm dressed nice.
He said he's the nicest
Yeah.
dressed man in the vicinity.
That's the plan.
Yeah. Everybody else got like a little dressed up for the celebration. They want to look cute at the parade. This man wore his Sunday best.
Yep. Well,
Theo
I'm sorry,
still looks
Buzz.
better though.
Oh.
Nice.
It's gonna outdress each other this whole campaign.
I hate to say it, but you might be losing your wallet there, bud. Just maybe.
Let's find out.
Let's find out. We're about to
I'm
have our
so
first
nervous
combat.
for your fingers. Yeah.
I was not expecting PvP so early on.
No.
Oh,
Figured
this
we'd
is
give it
gonna
a
be-
few episodes.
Nope. We're going.
What a mute cute. You
Right,
steal
yeah.
his wallet, he breaks your wrist or something, and everybody's friends at the end.
All right, so
Alright.
describe how you attempt to steal his wallet.
Well, I was hoping he'd be a little distracted, either in his book or by the parade. So I really just want to try and, again, that simple bump redirection to try to snag whatever I can get off his waist. So I'm assuming that's where most people keep their wallets. So
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, go ahead and roll us. I guess this would be. You can decide burglary or stealth.
well, it's definitely burglary.
Okay.
Only because that is literally my top skill. Yeah, okay. So it's a +4. Oh, that's a -1. And that's a +1. So it's a +4, and then
Invoke.
Yeah.
Invoke.
Just to solidify this, because I like my fingers.
Mhm.
Con artist is one of my aspects.
Mhm.
Would that be applicable?
Sure. Sure.
Yeah,
It's-
because you're selling to me that you actually bumped into me.
yeah.
That's being
Okay.
a con artist.
That's I kind of group con artist into all those
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
in my mind, all those little
Mhm.
petty thieving and,
Yeah.
and scams and
Roguish
tricks and
things.
stuff.
Yeah, what do they call that? What do they call that? The guy who like shakes your hand and takes your like watch or whatever. That's like a
I guess,
con
like,
artist.
yeah,
thing,
I would
right?
think a con
Yeah.
artist. Yeah. So are you adding
So
plus
that-
2 or are you re-rolling?
I'm just gonna add a +2, so it is a +6 total.
Oh boy.
Okay, so then because it's PvP,
Gotcha,
Sirkin,
bitch.
go ahead and roll a perception.
Perception. All right, I have a fair perception, which is only a 2, so I would have to get all pluses to even match it.
Unless you invoke something.
I've got 3 pluses.
Oh.
3 pluses and a blank. Oh.
Son of a
I.
bitch.
Oh
Oh no.
Because actually,
Mm.
oh
no.
I dealing with pickpockets and things like that. I mean, I have a gambling addiction, which one of my aspects is that I'm always pressing my luck. So I'm dealing with people who do these sorts of shady things. So this might be something I'm familiar with.
Sure.
Boom, fate points. I'm down to 1 fate point,
Uh-huh.
but now
I'll
I
give it back to you, don't worry.
beat it by +1.
So as he's reaching in that pocket for what he hopes is a wallet, you catch him. What do you
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, so Sirkin gives no indication that he is caught onto you until your hand touches the wallet, and then his hand reaches behind him. He's still holding the book in front of him with one hand, reaches behind him and grabs your wrist.
It's such an anime scene.
You're right, yeah, kind of. And he, like, you can feel, like, the, those metal barbs in his glove that we saw earlier.
Before his wrist breaks, you see the shot of every character's eyes in the vicinity.
Uh-huh.
Oh no, Theo 100% sees this interaction happening.
Oh, do you go ahead and roll a perception?
Because I mean, if
to see-
Sirkin is
Ooh.
up in the front and as pompous
I
as
am,
he
like-
is,
Yeah.
Theo is aware of him,
like,
and
that's
so
a
he's
fine best
100% going to take notice of something like
Go ahead
that.
and roll perception just to see how well you notice.
Okay. Well, how is my perception? My perception's +1. Fours are blank, so 6. That's +2.
So with a +2, you definitely see him. You would have clocked him based on your description that he looks so nice. And because you're just kind of watching how everything's going, you do notice
But Theo's not getting involved. Theo's just
no,
aware.
you're on the other side of the parade, even. So you're on the other side of the street, and this is taking place on the opposite. So you would definitely notice. You can't quite make out exactly what's going on or the air of it all, but you clock it. All right, so you grab his wrist.
Cool. Let's take this journey. I've got a fun idea. So he puts the pressure on and you know, without looking, he's talking to him and he says, "How old are you?"
I'm old enough to survive on my own.
Did you know that the human brain is not fully formed until 25?
Well, looks like I'm a whole person then, huh?
Then I'll give you the chance to let go.
I'm actually, you know what? I'm gonna invoke Fleet of Foot and Mind, and I'm gonna add an,
Yes.
and I'm going to attempt to, because I have my hand. You said I have my hand in there, right?
You are gripped on my wallet.
I'm gonna use Fleet of Foot and Mind. I'm going to try to snag and go. and like a feel like in that like reactive like fight or flight, I'm going. I'm gonna try and wrestle out.
Then and you guys can feel free to argue like, well, I want to roll this because that's what I believe. So
Lucas, argue? Never.
I would say athletics. Just
Yeah,
to make sure that you can get out of there.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Roll opposing athletics.
This is just actually he's gonna roll against your opposing athletics.
Oh no, that doesn't look good for me.
Yes. So I have a good in athletics, so it's +3, and I rolled 4 pluses. Plus
So
the
it's
invoke.
9.
But Lucas, I'm gonna
What are you gonna invoke?
compel
Yeah, what are you gonna compel?
because in this instance, like, you are in too deep. Like, you are beyond the point of no return.
So you're gonna have me.
So I'm just trying to get you fate points back.
Yeah.
So because every time that I compel one of their aspects, then they get a fate point back, and every time they invoke one, they have to pay me one. So because you're so in deep in this situation, like you take it and you run, and you're gonna run smack dab into a light guard. Because you were
Gonna be the same light guard.
the same light guard.
Step on his other boot. Step on his other boot.
Oh, I totally probably would.
You were so focused on that wallet and the pain on your wrist that as you escaped, you bump right into that same light guard that's having a pissy day and looking for someone to take it out on.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, what the hell?
Oh, you know, I'm sorry. I'm just get a little too emotional, and you just gave it back to me. But if you really want to, I'll invoke it. I'll use this. I'll use one of my stunts, and I'll use Sly Guy to try and de-escalate the situation before it gets any crazier.
Which one's Sly Guy?
The charisma.
He's the fox with the video game.
Oh, your stunt.
My stunt, yeah.
Oh, which is +2 rapport / charisma. We're calling it charisma. The Fate calls it rapport. When trying to persuade someone. And didn't we say someone that would see you as like a threat or
Yeah,
non-friendly?
which would be like in this situation on.
Yeah. It just doesn't say that, so add that so we remember in the future.
That's what it says on mine. That's one of my
You have
stunts
you have
for non-friendlies.
Oh, what's your stunt?
It's called Trust Me, +2 charisma against non-allied targets. Or people who, I don't remember how I have it
basically the
phrased.
same stunt.
Yeah, because
Apparently we do.
mine's like, hey,
+2 charisma against non-friendly targets.
yeah, mine's like, hey, like, it's not necessarily. It could be used for like anyone. It's in conversation. I'm trying to get people to like trust me more, so it could be anybody.
Okay.
You know how Del was supposed to be, and then we were
Oh,
like,
right.
you're creepy.
And then he just got creepy. Yeah. All right, so go ahead and roll charisma.
Charisma's not my best suit.
Good thing you have a stunt for it.
Exactly when I took a stunt for it. Okay, that's net 0. That's a -1, so it comes out to be +2.
And on there's a whole ladder of how well these +2s or -2s, and so +2 is at normal or fair. So you didn't persuade this guy any more than he would be by any other human. Plus you just ran into him. And Sirkin, I'm gonna invoke your overconfidence because that's why you got into this situation in the first place. You didn't just handle it. You thought that you were fine. You had it under control. And when he grabbed the wallet, he not only grabbed your wallet, he grabbed your car keys to your really nice car.
Oh, there's probably something in that trunk that I need.
Yeah. So just so you know, you
Yeah.
realize as he took off and ran his light
Better not
guard.
be this.
Fuck. All right.
That he's got all those things. So, this light guard who's having a pissy day, just, hey, haven't I seen you before?
Instinctually, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna go and like wipe his boot and try to just like walk away.
Yeah, that's right.
You would
wiped
like that.
boot. Yeah. Yeah.
Or I like bumped into him and like brush him off, be like, I'm so sorry, and still like jittered.
Steal his wallet.
See, that's
Yeah,
that's
I'll,
sad.
I'll pat him down, get the dust off the front of him and take his shock baton.
Do you really?
Kidding.
Oh,
I'm kidding. That's not happening.
I'm like, this is about to escalate. Yeah,
Too many
that's the
people.
respect
Too many
this
people.
position deserves. Now get out of here. And he just turns and he's like watching you wherever you go until you're out of his sight. Sirkin, you just lost your wallet and your keys.
Have I noticed that I've lost them yet?
I don't know, roll perception.
All right, let's find out.
Yeah, I have
perception
to
is
imagine if he
+2.
caught me, he would check.
Nope, because I got 2 mine. So I got a perception.
Oh, which one?
For perception, I have a 0.
Ooh.
Oh no.
I have a +2. I rolled 2 negatives.
Hey, I'll meet you at the
Didn't-
car.
I am so arrogant that I'm pretty sure he learned his lesson.
Right, without even
I
looking
taught
up from
him
your book.
one. Hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so you don't have your wallet or your keys.
Nope.
What was in your wallet besides money? Anything?
Nothing. There's no identification of any kind in
Yeah.
there because
course.
I don't leave evidence. So yeah, it would be just petty cash, and there's probably something sharp in there. Like if you were to like just run your hand and you might find a razor blade on accident or something. Like there'd be
A card-sized blade, like in a
They have
card
the
slot?
little
Yeah, right.
wallet knives you can use.
Yeah, he's got a wallet knife in there.
Okay, yeah, I had one of those and it got stolen at an airport or taken away from me at an airport. All right, so then you take off and
Yeah, and I'm gonna take some cash out for me, and then if there's like,
a wallet knife.
I'll if I see anything interesting, I'm gonna take it. But I'm gonna leave some cash in it, and then I'm gonna down on your luck. If there's anybody that's not necessarily like homeless or whatever. We're in a nice district, so I don't know if I'd see anybody, but I'd probably chuck like some money in the wallet to them.
Nice. Yeah, there's not especially downtown here is super clean. There's other areas of Prism Square, the merchant district, that it gets a little seedier, that more suburban, I guess, more home neighborhoody, but here is really nice. All right, so as this parade is coming to a conclusion and the high priest of the Octarian temple makes his exit on the parade with cheers, and everyone's engulfed in this purpley smoke with the confetti and the streamers, and some people are noshing on a bit of a sweet that some children gave from their class. You look across, and up to a podium, you see the arch-luminary Errol Faust step up and just say, "Good morning, everyone!" And everyone cheers. And he said, "A happy anniversary of the great refining!" And this microphone is blasting sound, and everyone's just cheering. Some people are still, "For light and love, for light and love." "I'm your arch luminary of intelligence." He pauses for another cheer. "Errol Faust." More cheering. "Thank you for being here on this illustrious and beautiful day. It is all because of the goddess Octaris that we are here today." More cheers. And he just kind of does a sly little look at this beautiful building behind him. "Have you seen this?" And some people are laughing and cheering. I was like, "Thank you. This is quite a momentous event that we get to cut the ribbon on the Faust Gold Institute of Progress. This has been a brainchild of mine for many years, and finally the planets have aligned and we are able to access, with the research in this building, the potential of Zodicium to the next level. And people are cheering. As we know, Zodicium has changed the way that we live, not only here in Aurora, but across the entire planet. We have it to thank for this city itself, for the cars we drive, for the medicine that's created, for so many good things. And with the research that happens here at the Institute of Progress, we can access even more. So with that, and as he's reaching for scissors, he catches Theo, like, in his...
Theo noticeably yawns, like makes it over dramatic.
Clara, may I have the scissors? And this aide kind of brings these big shiny scissors over to him. And with me today is, unfortunately, the other namesake of the building couldn't make it here to the ribbon cutting, Mr. Kieran Gold, which many of you would recognize is the leader of the Gold family that has caused so much trauma and pain in your lives, but publicly is an affluent, what's the word? Philanthropist.
Philanthropist.
Yeah. The Gold family makes a lot of money, and you find, it seems every few months the gold is added to a wing of a building or a hallway or a street. They're just constantly giving money, and everybody is, not everybody loves them, but they're grateful that they're, they have money, but at least they're doing something positive with it. It's only those that are in the underbelly of Aurora that would recognize the Gold family for really what they are. But Errol continues, unfortunately, Mr. Kieran Gold couldn't be here this morning, but in his place, we have his son. Name is...
They haven't met yet?
No, sorry, I can't remember. I'm
haven't met. There was no rehearsal for this speech.
His son, it's actually his daughter. His
daughter. We have his son, Finnegan, in his stead. Finnegan, thank you on behalf of Aurora and the luminary of intelligence. I thank you. And Finnegan is the oldest son of the Gold family, but he's more of the reserved firstborn, kind of cautious. He's kind of looking around a little uneasy with the enormity of the crowd. But he's represented his family on many occasions as the oldest, and he steps up to the mic and he just says, thank you. The Gold family is very proud to support such a important and necessary estate.
Theo stifles a laugh.
And he just kind of glances over. Thank you. And together, they each take a handle of the scissors, and they reach up, slide it over the ribbon, and just before they slice down, you all just feel a thunder. It shakes the entire city. Instinctively, people drop down and scream and shriek. And for those that don't bury their heads immediately, you look up on the 10th floor of the Institute, this massive explosion out of the window, and glass is raining down on people below in tiny little specks, and intuitively people just start running and panicking. But all of you kind of are able to glance up, and after the explosion, through the smoke, you see a person jet out from the window, and almost like they are stepping on air itself. You can't quite make out what it is, but it seems like they're propelling by something on their feet, and behind them is a banner that reads, "Open your eyes," with a symbol at the end that's an eye with a big X through. Would you all roll a lore for me to see if you recognize this symbol or what this might represent?
Did I argue resources? Since being so connected, I would be hearing talks and rumors of...
You could roll connection instead.
I'll take connection for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, definitely.
You guys ready for this? That's +8.
Oh my god! That is legendary.
You roll max.
Yeah.
That's as high as you can roll.
2
basically.
5s, 2 6s, and my connection is
Legendary
+4.
means you created that.
Exactly.
Fuck, damn it, Jerry!
And as
You
a
know,
note, T just said
one.
2 5s and 2 6s. We are using what's called fate dice or fudge dice. You can find them for cheap. But if you don't want to purchase those, you can just use D6s. And a 1 and a 2 is a -1. 3 and a 4 is a blank or a 0. And then a 5 and a 6 is a +1. So you rolled max, so you definitely recognize this. Anybody else? Anybody roll over a 3 or get more than a +3?
I got
got-
0 total.
I'm going to use my aspect of scholarly aspiration to add a +2 because I had a 1.
Sure.
So I have 3 exactly.
Okay.
I have 3.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, so anybody that rolled 3 or more, and T, you would definitely, like, you not only recognize the symbol, you have spoken to members of, as you would know, the Knights of Axiom. The Knights of Axiom are a grassroots, by the city standards, terrorists, but it's fairly new. They haven't been around that long. You hear them being talked about around the rumor mill, but T, you've definitely dealt with people within the Knights of Axiom. No one's met the leader of the Knights. It's more like they get assignments or they get word passed down, but no one's ever met her or them or him. Because
Way to save it.
Yeah, right. But you would recognize that symbol as the eye with an X through it is the Knights of Axiom. So this is definitely a terrorist act. Kit, how might you have heard about the Knights of Axiom? Was it like a...
Me?
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, my dad, like, probably had said something, or I had seen maybe a business card or some sort of,
Yeah. Curiously,
from that.
because he's been
yeah.
gone for months, right?
Hmm.
But
But maybe I went to clean out his stuff and came across it in a drawer, or, something, or, do we have phones? I didn't know what type of, or some type of communication with other people, like email, or what type of communication do you think we have with each other?
we're thinking like, I kind of place it in a high fantasy meets retro futuristic steampunk kind of world. So
Okay,
the idea of like iPhones, cell phones, not quite.
maybe
a thing.
not. Okay,
They might have
maybe
like,
some letters or notes, like a
landlines or-
carrier note or something. Like,
Pneumatic tubes that run through the whole city.
exactly right. Also, just
Maybe-
mechanically, I didn't want you guys to be able to call each other and say things.
Sure, makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. You were
maybe-
cleaning out one of his cars he was working on, and you found just
Maybe
a
in the
slip of
glove
paper.
box.
Yeah, it didn't
Glove-
say
in the
anything
glove box.
except that symbol. So you recognized that
Yeah.
symbol, but you weren't quite sure what it meant. Now
Yeah.
you're just like, shit. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe
So-
putting 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. The rest of you have never seen this. You don't know what it is, but you do know that there has been a giant explosion. Someone's coming out of it, and they have a long banner right after them. Said, "Open your eyes," with the symbol. And they're like leaping through the air, being propelled by these things on their feet. But as they're making their escape, you notice that one of the feet seemed to misfire and start smoking. And in the panic, as people are running, this figure is kind of losing control and trying to save themselves with their other foot and almost like limping. And you can track them, and they kind of land. They're going to make a crash landing near an alley, not far, like a block or two away from where you are all now. What do you do in this panic?
Theo is going to take a moment to see who follows that way before making his way.
Sirkin is an enforcer. He's heading straight. He saw where the threat was going. Actually, as he watches the person start falling down and people are screaming around him, he just looks towards it and says, "For light and love," and starts running towards it.
Nice. Wayland?
I think that I would be like not in a hurry to go see it. Like I don't have really any affiliation with, like I guess like these guys would be the enemy of my former enemy, right? So like I'll be curious enough to follow, but I'm not like desperately trying to, you know what I mean?
Oh, because they are against the Faust Gold Institute?
Yeah, and those aren't my allies. Like
Right.
I'm not, like so like I'm definitely would be like naturally curious.
Uh-huh.
But like I don't see like a direct thing to benefit me other than like the potential that it could benefit me.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is I'm being casual about it. I'm not trying to like
Got it.
sprint. I'm just
So,
following the crowd.
As people are running in panic and you're just kind of going with the flow, making your way towards that direction.
Yeah.
Sirkin, you're going straight for. Theo,
Yeah.
you're going straight for?
Theo would be the last one to kind of make his way, because again, he's taking note of anybody that would catch interest in that, because those are people that he needs to be aware of why they are interested in that. But yes, he would go relatively quickly to go find out what's going on there.
Because you're up at the podium, so immediately Light Guard like cover Errol and usher them away from the building.
I don't think Theo would even duck. I think Theo would kind of stand there as like the glass would rain, because I don't know if Theo would be like, yes, this is happening. Theo expected something to pop off today, and probably smirk as it took place.
Okay. And she's getting like caught up, being pushed around by people. What are you doing, Kit?
How much would Nan weigh?
Nan probably weighs, at this point, she's fairly thin, but she's hardy. Like she's,
Could I pick her up?
Is
you're-
she a wet sponge?
you're
or
taller
is
than her, right?
Yeah. Because I'm thinking just like putting her on my back and just
Spider monkey.
getting her pretty much.
Okay, yeah. So she willingly just grips around your neck. Oh.
And I'm just probably going to run to like an alley or somewhere that there's just not a lot going on, you know, just to kind of, because I'm not going to carry her all the way home. That would just be ridiculous.
Right.
So just to kind of get her to safety out of like the running and the stuff like that. So
So yeah, you take off towards the nearest alley, which isn't far. You have to kind of push through the crowd. Light Guard are trying to keep people calm. They're saying, like, remain calm. We will handle the situation. Do not run. People are ignoring it. They're running. Al, what are you doing?
Having some kind of, prior knowledge that something was gonna happen. I don't think I'm not getting paid to intervene, but that information of what's going on is probably worth something. So I will stealthily try to make my way to see who responds and how they respond.
Okay. So, Kit, while you duck into an alley, and do you keep your grandma on your back or do you set her down?
Probably set her down, let her sit down, like her back against a wall, and just kind of like crouch near her and like just look around, keep an eye out, and Gran, you stay here, like, and I guess maybe look out the alleyway, see what else is going on, and I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if I don't know if there's really anywhere for me to go, or because I'm not gonna go running towards trouble. Like,
Right. So you set your grandma. Oh, are you okay? Are you hurt?
I'm fine. And I like take, maybe I have like a bottle of water and I hand it to her and,
Thank you.
give her a
I just need to
hug and
rest.
just calm her down.
And the rest of you, as you're either tracking where this person went and landed, or actively sprinting towards them, like Sirkin, as you make your way towards them, you can kind of follow this plume of smoke, and Light Guard are also headed that direction. And you're running towards, and in like a side between a restaurant, a little noodle shop, you can see where the origin of the smoke is, and as you get closer, you see like next to a trash can, there is, well, I'll ask you. You see where the origin is. Do you go towards it or
Sprint straight for? Sirkin's goal is to get there before anybody else.
Okay. You definitely make it, and you run up and you see sparking just these boots. No individual is there, but as you look closer at it, actually go ahead and roll me I'll argue crafting or perception, depending on which you prefer, just to
I'm
kind of
gonna go
understand what this is.
Perception.
Or
I have
expertise.
3, 4, 5.
Nice. So, as you're kind of figuring out what these are, it kind of looks like these ankle attachments that you could place around your feet, and with small combustions can basically give you flight as you're running through the air. At least that's what you put 2 and 2 together. But you just see the boots that were kind of ditched near a dumpster, but no person. Though if you, with that perception, you turn your shoulder, you see somebody that looks like that individual. You got a good glimpse of him when he was above you, kind of dip in an alley across the street and turn around a building.
I grab the boots and say, "Goddess provides," and sprint after the person.
Awesome. And the rest of you that were trailing this, you're on his tail, just not there as quite as fast. And as you're trying to dip away from the Light Guard and avoid them as well, you see Sirkin kind of notice something with the sparking boots, and he heads down the alley. Do you follow?
Yeah, I think this is like kind of like a put the hood up kind of moment, like trying to be as inconspicuous as possible at this point.
Theo's picking up the pace at this point to make sure he's getting in the grasp of what's going on.
So as you're all kind of making your way through alley, maybe from a distance, maybe up in it, Sirkin, you're starting to gain on this individual, and as you're dipping through kind of this weaving between buildings and behind them and around them, he's running, and Kit, down the other side of the alley, you hear like noise. You hear like somebody jumping over cans and running right your way. And with full speed, you see them kind of slam against the building before you and like make their way towards you. What do you do?
Kit's gonna like, I guess, body block them? Like, because Nan's there. Like, what else is she gonna, like, I'm not gonna have him, like, bulldoze, like, Nan. So I'm just gonna, as they come running, just put my arm up and, like...
All right.
Full on
take it.
clothesline.
Yeah, basically clothesline him.
Okay. Roll physique. Or
Okay.
if you want to argue any other skill.
I don't think so.
Okay.
All right. 1, but I'm going to invoke my aspect bite is bigger than the bark. And yeah, can I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because
Okay.
you may not seem like somebody that could take a full person out. And as they're
Yeah.
coming closer to you, they're rather slight in their build as well. They look a little younger. They don't look old. And so they're just racing towards you, and you get in the way, and they think they can push right past you, but they were wrong, and you just clothesline them, and they land smack on their back. And as they do, Sirkin comes around the corner, and followed by maybe Waylon from a distance, and now you're all surrounding this terrorist on his back, or on her back, in the alley. And I think that's where we're gonna end it.
Nice.
Oh,
That's
shit.
intense, man.
Nice.
Like camping.
Woo.
Like what?
Like camping.
All right, I'm done.
Oh,
I'm out of here. Goodbye, guys.
Ugh.
Oh gosh.
And that's
Oh.
a tremendous start to a tremendous campaign. You guys, that was awesome.
Woo.
That was great, man. Thank you, Bozer. Great
Yeah.
job, man.
Thank you.
I can't wait for actual character like interaction where I have to apologize so much.
That was a slow build. I'm like, how do I get them together? But all of you, thank you for joining us tonight, whether it was live on Twitch or watching back on YouTube or listening back on podcast. Stick around. This is going to be a crazy world, and it's going to be built while we're flying it. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for these brand new faces to the table, and I'm really excited to hang out with the faces we know and love. So until next time, I'm Bozer. Oh God, what's the order?
I think same order we started in.
All right.
So Bozer, Britt, Josh, Austin, Lucas.
I'm
me.
Britt.
I'm Josh.
I'm Austin.
I'm here.
I'm T.
And you just keep geeking out.
Geeking out.
Out.
Out.